This first part started, I want to show you something else really cool that you can do. So again, I'm back in Illustrator, and I'm going to choose my type tool, and I'm going to type out a word. And one thing I do recommend when you do this is keep it all caps. In other words, like what you don't want is something like this, or like yellow, where it's lower caps, because you want it to be consistent. This will make sense in just a minute. So all uppercase for what we're doing for now. I'm going to take this word, and before I go any further, I just find I like to have something that's a little bit thicker, so I'm going to choose Poplar Standard Black. That's my favorite. Obviously, you could even go into DaFont and find something that way as well. So I'm going to make this a little bigger. There it is. And before I go any further, just to save myself time, because I'm going to do this twice, I'm going to grab this and bring this over here. So I have two of these. Okay. So the first one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Object, and before I do this, you notice this is selected. Object, Envelope, Distort, Make with Mesh. Okay, so here's how this works. This is one row, right? I don't recommend doing more than one row, by the way. I've tried that, like where I'll have several lines of text, and it's really, really hard. So if you have several lines of text, do them all individually. So one row, and then the column should be just the number of letters you have. So obviously in this case I have 4, so I'm just going to leave that alone and say OK. And I get this right here. So what's going on with that? Well, I'll show you in a minute. I'm going to do something different with this one. Instead of what I just did, I'm going to add to this one, and it does not matter what the fill is. And I'm going to draw a rectangle over it like this. Okay, and I'm intentionally drawing the rectangle so it's sitting on top of the word. I'm going to select both the word and the rectangle, and this time instead of going to Object, Envelope, Distort, Make with Mesh, I'm going to make with a top object, which is the rectangle, and I get this. Okay, so they kind of look the same. I'm noticing when I look at this one, it's like divided into these columns, whereas this one only has that. So now if let me draw a circle. So, and I'm going to shift. So that's circle 1, and then what the heck, I'll make another circle. Alright, so I'll take this one, drag it down inside, and I can't see it because it's underneath the circle, so I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front, okay, and do the same over here. I'll just say Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. Alright, so what's going on here? Check it out. I can come in here now, it's my favorite part, and if I click on one of these anchor points, look at that. I can drag that up, and I can make this conform to the circle. So I'm bringing the anchor point all the way up to the edges of the circle. And let me just zoom in this way so you can see it with a slightly higher resolution. There it is. So I'm going to keep going with this. So it doesn't take a lot of work to do something like this. And I want to show you how to fix this because it looks kind of wonky right there. Like instead of it rounding around this, it's doing some weird things. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to fix that. Let me just get this last part down. So that didn't take very long at all. So now I want it to really conform to the circle. So what do? Well, I'm going to click on this anchor point, and you see this handle? See how it's pointing in or even down a little bit? That means the curve is going to go down. I want the curve to go up, which means this handle, which I'm going to click on right now by clicking on the anchor point, has to go up. You see how I bring it up? Now the curve is up. And I might have to adjust my handles accordingly, but it's pretty easy to get this to work. See? So I drag the handle out this way, drag this handle out this way. Oops. Careful not to drag the whole anchor point. So there's my handle. And before I know it, I am doing a pretty good job. So again, this is up, so the curve is going up. I want the curve to go down, so I grab the handle and I drag it down. So you can see how that conforms. So that's what you need to do is get these to conform. So that's pretty easy. And the nice thing about this is you can individually manipulate a little bit more of your piece. The other way to go, and obviously I'm not done with that, is this is the one I did with the shape in front of it. So I already have it, you know, touching the sides. So I'm noticing I have a handle here. It's kind of hard to see, but that's what that little bump says. So I'm going to drag this up, and it seems, at least for this case, it's a little bit smoother. You see how like it's a little bit more lumpy, bumpy over here? I feel like I have more control with this one in terms of what it does, but I also feel like it's a little bit more lumpy, bumpy. Whereas with this one, feel like I'm getting a little bit more control. And almost done. And those are my 2 examples. So make 2 circles both ways, and you'll be able to tell the difference between them. Just make sure you use all caps when you do that. Trust me on that. But that's the final project, and then you'll go ahead and turn that in.